Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Pit Lane. My name's Rob Howden, the voice of the Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. Just an amazing race there in USF 2000. What a crazy finish it was. Braden Eves, of course, getting his second race win of the weekend and of the new 2019 season. But we're getting set to go here now with the very top rung. The driver's just one step away from the NTT IndyCar Series. It's Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires. We got a field of 10 drivers set to go. We've got a rookie on the outside, a rookie on the inside. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready. Here is your grid for the race here today. Let's go to row number 5. Starting on the outside, rookie driver from Brazil, 3 years in the USF 2000 program. He makes his jump up here into Indy Lights. For Belardi Auto Racing, the number 5, Lucas Cole, starting in the 10th position. Inside of row number 5, starting in 9th from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, now living in Indianapolis, a veteran of the the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. It's Dalton Kellett in the number 67. Kellett, the pole sitter last year for the Freedom 100. Moving now to row number 4, another one of our rookies. We have indeed 7 rookies in the field here this year. On the outside of row 4, running for Belardi Auto Racing from France, the number 4, Julian Falchero. Inside of row number 4, starting in the 7th position, winner last year at Gateway Motorsports Park, 3rd year in the series, out of Aurora, Ohio, a driver who most definitely will be in the battle for the championship this year. Starting 7th, number 48, Ryan Norman. Row number 6 now, starting on the outside, and this driver, of course, we've watched him come through this Road to Indy, so impressive. He has that soul red colors with the Mazda Scholarship, last year's Indy Pro 2000 champion in the number 21, racing for Juncos Racing. It's Rinus VeeKay. VeeKay from Holland. Inside of row number 3, starting in the 5th position. Driver out of Mount Kisco, New York. Again, a driver who's worked his way through the entire Road to Indy, USF 2000, Indy Pro, and now making his debut this year in Indy Lights. The number 27 for Andretti Autosport, Robert Megennis. Megennis and VeeKay on row number 3. Row 2 on the outside, it'll be David Malukas for BN Racing. He has worked his way quickly through the entire ladder program. A brand new team, BN Racing, here on the Indy Lights program. They have USF 2000 and cars in Indy Pro 2000 available as well. But it's Malukas making the move now up to Indy Lights for 2019. He'll start the number 79 in the 4th position. Inside of row number 2, starting in the 3rd spot, Oliver Askew, the 2017 USF 2000 champion, last year running in the Indy Pro 2000 category. Askew in the number 28, starting P3. 2 drivers on the front row. On the outside, a one-off effort so far. It's the combined BN Racing Team Pelfrey collaboration effort. It's going to be Toby Sowery from England, starting P2, a great qualifying effort for him, a 105.923. On the pole position, a driver who we've seen here for a couple of years in Indy Lights. He ran a handful of races in the IndyCar program last year. He has come back to Indy Lights to try to win this scholarship to go back to IndyCar in 2020. On the pole position from Montreal, Quebec, Canada for Belardi Auto Racing, number 13, Zachary Clayman. Field now set, folks, and it is about time to fire up these Indy Lights drivers for what will be a very exciting race, the first of 2 here this weekend for the top rung of the Road to Indy. To give us the call to fire these engines, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Cooper Tire Girls down here with us on pit lane. And again, we are just moments away. Clayman and Sowery on row 1. Askew and Malukas on row 2. Megennis and VeeKay, row 3. Norman and Falchero, row 4. Kellett and Cole on row number 5. Ladies and gentlemen, here they are, the Cooper Tire Girls.
On behalf of everyone at Cooper Tires, drivers, start your engines.
30 seconds, no?
Well, our thanks to Rob Howden for getting things started down on pit lane. There they are, the field of 10. It's the first round of the season for the Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires. As we said, veteran Zachary Clayman will start. There you see the number 13 for Belardi Auto Racing. Oh, the number 27 of Robert Megennis. Pretty impressive season last year in the Indy Pro 2000 season. And then to the back of the field. So the field rolls off. Sowery with that impressive run yesterday. Garnering the outside of row number 1. Eyes on the number 28 of Oliver Askew. Has the pole for tomorrow. And then the driver starting on the outside of row number 3, Rinus VeeKay, who won the Indy Pro 2000 Championship last year. Again, starts on the outside in the 3rd row. So 2 very quick cars who qualified very well earlier today. Oliver Askew not too far back on the inside of row number 2, but look to the outside too is Rinus VeeKay. Going to be a great start. Looking forward to a fantastic race. We welcome you to the streets of St. Petersburg. And here for the call of the first race of the season for the Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires, we throw you to Nick Yeoman and the IndyCar Radio Network.
Coming through that section of the track and the field coming into my view. Then the heavy braking zone before the left-hand turn onto Dan Weldon Way. 90 degrees and one of the best passing zones on the circuit. This portion of the track is always fraught with adventure and excitement because it's one of the few spots you can make that pass stick. And we're going to see that here in just a few short moments.
Thank you, Ryan. Really looking forward to it here. 35 laps, as you can hear in the background. Those engines come to life. 450 horsepower, an extra 50 when they jump on that push-to-pass system, that 6-speed automatic, semi-automatic gearboxes, 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engines. And, you know, we talk about that push-to-pass on the front straightaway here, Aaron. This is a great opportunity to make some passes early in the race and really throughout the 35 laps.
It is, absolutely. Front straightaway, a good place. But to be honest, people are always ready for that. So actually one of my favorite places to pass here is into turn 10. People might not be expecting it as much, and it's still a pretty good run down to turn 10.
Second pit reporter joining Joel Sebastianelli is Rob Howden, who's been awful busy all weekend. Rob, good afternoon.
Nick, how are you? I actually just wrapped up the driver introductions down here for PA, and obviously very interesting when you talk about the fact that in this field of 10, we have 7 rookies, and I wonder how much that is going to play for the driver on the pole right now. Obviously, Zachary Clayman, he's got a couple seasons already of Indy Lights competition, of course, in 2016, 2017. Last year, a handful of starts in the IndyCar program. I don't think he's going to be shaken leading down here into turn number 1, and that experience he has, even the high-level experience, I think will make it a lot calmer for Zachary Clayman when we get ready to go. It's the rookies around him, Toby Sowery on the outside, of course, who may be shaking in their boots a little bit right now.
Yeah, certainly Clayman has the experience from a couple years ago running in Indy Lights. The other veterans in the field, Ryan Norman, who starts 7th, Dalton Kellett 9th. We'll see if the experience pays off for them navigating on these opening laps. Aaron, how important is it just to take care of yourself into turn number 1 on this opening lap?
Oh, extremely important. I mean, really easy to get sucked into braking super late down there into turn 1. And when you get offline here at St. Pete, track's dirty. The paint is even more slippery when there's no rubber laid down on it, which it's a runway, so there's paint everywhere. So turn 1 is going to catch some guys out here for sure. You'll see people missing the corner. Hopefully we don't have no contact, but yeah, look for a crazy turn 1 here.
It's been a long, long off season for sure. Happy to be in St. Petersburg, Florida to kick off the season, and here come the 10 drivers in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires through the final couple of corners. It is Zachary Clayman on the pole in that red and white Bilardi Auto Racing car. Toby Sowery to his outside in the yellow car for the Team Pelfrey BN Racing partnership. They wait. All eyes on the starter stand. Green flag is in the air, and we are racing in 2019 in the Indy Lights Series. Nice jump for Zachary Clayman as he will protect the inside and hold the lead on lap number 1. Toby Sowery has second lockdown. Good battle for third as Oliver Askew has it for now. Looks like everyone doing a nice job through turns 2 and 3, securing those positions, and now Sowery is looking for the lead. He'll jump to the inside, trying to get around Clayman. Clayman will slam the door shut as he'll hold the top position as they head towards Pioneer Park. It is Clayman, then Sowery, then Oliver Askew as everyone minds their P's and Q's on this opening lap. They get single file around Pioneer Park, but it is Zachary Clayman, your leader, as they make the bend through turn number 9.
Coming onto Bayshore for the first time, Nick, it is Zachary Clayman leading, but Toby Sowery knocking on the door right in the rear view mirror of Clayman. Single file through turn number 10 for the first time. Battle shaping up for the 9th 9th position further back in the field, but it's clean and green, lap number 1.
Nice, clean opening lap, Aaron Telitz, as we see Clayman go a little wide through that final corner. Here's the first opportunity, though. We're going to see who can get a run out of that final corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Really impressed with Toby Sowery's opening lap here. He's a rookie, never been here before, keeping right up with Zach, who's done a couple of Indy Lights races here in the past. So that's really impressive. I'm going to be interested to see if he can put some more pressure on Zach here.
And he's hanging right with them here during the opening couple of laps as they make the right-handed bend through turn number 3. Sowery's just got about a 2 or 3 car length deficit to Clayman. That's the front 2 as they head towards Pioneer Park. Then a pretty good battle shaping up for 3rd. Oliver Askew has that spot. Rinus VeeKay really starting to hound him, and VeeKay looked like he had his hands full with Malukas as, boy, Clayman gets really sideways a couple times around Pioneer Park. Ryan Marine, he's got his hands full, just a couple car lengths, the deficit to the lead.
Yes, he does. The front 2 have separated themselves. It's about a 5-car length gap further back. Battle for 4th is heating up, and it's a swap of position. The BN Racing teammate, or driver David Malukas, getting around Rinus VeeKay. Good job from him, the rookie in the series, making the move here in turn number 10.
Yeah, so move Malukas up to the 4th position as VeeKay now falls back, and Robert McGinnis will try to claw his way into the top 5. So a nice move as Malukas moves into 4th. All attention back towards the front as Clayman still got about a 2-car length advantage over Toby Sowery. The deficit from a time standpoint, Aaron, just a half a second as we see some good battling throughout the field early on here in St. Pete.
Definitely looking like some good battles there. David Malukas pulling my favorite move here, passing to turn 10 there on Rinus VeeKay, making it thick, and he's already reeled in Oliver Askew here as well. So David Malukas on the move early.
And that's a brand new team, BN Racing, moving up to Indy Lights. I mean, that's an impressive showing here early on.
Absolutely. Yeah, those guys doing a great job. Zach Clayman DeMello, again, getting sideways through the 7, 8, 9 complex here. Let's see if he can hold the rear of the car down.
Ryan, let's take a look at that battle for 3rd, though, as it makes its way towards you.
Yeah, it's heating up in a big way right now. Askew has it. Malukas wants it. He's got to stay single file through Tim this time by. It's about a car length and a half back to VeeKay, running just behind that battle. But it's definitely shaping up for that 3rd position, final step on the podium.
Yeah, Oliver Askew got a nice run out of turn number 10, gives him a little bit of breathing room. All right, Aaron, you've noticed that car of Zachary Clayman, our leader, getting really sideways on a couple different occasions. What does that tell you about the setup of that race car for it to be so unstable around a really slower part of the racetrack with some 90-degree right-hand turns?
Yeah, obviously the Blarty guys have that car pretty freed up right now. We'll see if once the tires get fully up to temp here, that settles down a bit. To be honest, it does take a while here at St. Pete to get your tires warmed up and get everything dialed in. So look for that car to hopefully be better here towards the end of the race instead of the beginning.
Man, Oliver Askew just absolutely has his hands full with David Malukas, who has looked really, really strong in the early goings of this race. Malukas started 4th, dropped back to 5th at the start of the race, then got around Rinus VeeKay, and that battle for 3rd, Ryan Marine, continues to rage on out of turn number 9.
Couple of rookies putting on the best show on the track. That time Malukas took a peek to the inside, but tucked back in line. Can't get the move made this time. Meanwhile, Ryan Norman working on holding off Julian Falchero a little bit further back in the field.
Lead starting to grow for Zachary Clayman out of the final couple corners. The previous lap, it was just shy of a full second. This time, Clayman DeMello will streak across the line to complete lap number 4, and the advantage is 1.5 seconds, Rob Howden, for Toby Sowery, who's got to make up the difference here early on, trying to catch the veteran Clayman.
You know, Nick, one of the interesting things I see here with this BN Racing team, of course, when they announced David Malukas, it was going to be a single-car effort. I talked to Bryn Nuttall several times in the offseason, and they were focused just on that single car. Of course, I think there was some pressure, hey, let's see what we can do to get some more guys in the field. Of course, the guys from Managers and Promotions were doing whatever they could to attract more drivers. It's this Team Pelfrey car that became available to be able to run with BN. Now, I think the big benefit for BN is you have to remember what happened with Team Pelfrey last year. They've got some of their staff here this weekend. They've also got the data book from last year. It was Shelby Blackstock and Neil Alberico who were surprise entries here at St. Petersburg with Team Pelfrey. We didn't know really they were coming until late. And remember, they put on a show. They've got a really good baseline car, and they were able to put, of course, Neil Alberico into the top 5 and Shelby Blackstock onto the podium last year. That kind of information, they come in here with a complete blank sheet of paper when it comes to going Indy Lights racing. If they're able to get any of that data, which they have here right now from Team Pelfrey, that could really help BN Racing down the line.
Aaron, you spent your 2 years in Indy Lights, both with Belardi, correct? Were there ever any racetracks that you went to there, you just felt like you had a good setup in terms of Belardi and their data over
Absolutely. You're watching the race right here. This is a great track for Belardi. I was on pole position here twice in my 2 years with them, so they've got great cars here. So good to see that Zach Clayman DeMello taking full advantage of that.
Yeah, Zach Clayman has been a great start so far. 5 laps in, he's your leader by 1.6 seconds. Then it's Toby Sowery. Oliver Askew runs in third as he's finally given himself a little bit of breathing room over David Malukas. Although, I'll tell you what, Ryan, as soon as I say that, it looks like it creeps back to about 2 or 3 car lengths into turn 10.
A little bit closer this time through. Still plenty of breathing room for Askew. It's Rinus VeeKay right now who has his hands full trying to hold off Robert McGinnis. They were side by side a few corner sequences back. VeeKay able to hold him off for now.
Yeah, and it looked like Dalton Kellett and Lucas Cole were mixing it up as they're battling towards the rear of the field. They got side-by-side moments ago as well. The lead for Clayman DeMello at 1.6 seconds. This time across the line, 1.8. So it continues to grow. But, boy, Aaron, we're watching this battle for third as Malukas tries the outside on Oliver Askew. This is a tight portion of the racetrack, but Malukas clearly has a fast race car.
Absolutely. He's got a great car. He used that push to pass there to get kind of up alongside of him. Oliver defended. So this is going to be a great battle here coming down.
Yeah, they head down towards the Pioneer Park portion of the racetrack. Oliver Askew just able to hold that inside line and keep that 79 machine, the BN racing car of David Malukas, just 17 years old, racing here in the Indy Lights Series and certainly putting the pressure on one of the guys we expected to contend for a race win. Here's your full field rundown. 6 laps into this race, it is Clayman, Sowery, Askew, and Malukas, the top 4. VeeKay runs in 5th. McGinnis is 6th. Ryan Norman is 7th. Falchero runs in the 8th position. Dalton Kellett is 9th. Lucas Cole is 10th. This is the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network. My name's Nick Yeoman. Aaron Telitz joins us here in the booth and continuing to watch a great battle for third. Down the front straightaway they come. David Malukas just about 2 or 3 car lengths back of Oliver Askew. Then a little bit further back, decent battle shaping up as Rinus VeeKay holds on to the final spot in the top 5 with Robert McGinnis trying to run him down here on the streets of St. Petersburg. This is a 35-lap race, and Aaron, you know these cars really well. Spent 2 years in this IL-15 chassis. What are the things you really liked about how these cars performed, not just on the street courses, but all across the board on the very versatile tracks that we see in Indy Lights?
Absolutely. I think the number one thing is just how fast this car really is. I mean, qualifying this morning, what did they do? A 105.5 IndyCar this morning's fast time was a 101 flat, I think, something around there. So we're talking only 4-ish seconds faster IndyCar is. So, I mean, these Indy Lights cars are preparing drivers really well for IndyCar. And you see that all the guys that graduate out of these cars straight into IndyCar and doing well straight away.
It was 25 of the 33 starters in the Indy 500 last year were guys that spent some time racing in Indy Lights as graduates. So it's impressive, and clearly the program is working, and we hope to see you as one of those drivers very soon. Zach Clayman is your leader here on the streets of St. Petersburg. We talked about that battle for 5th moments ago. The Indy Pro 2000 Series champion from a year ago, Rinus VeeKay, kind of has his hands full with Robert McGinnis, who's driving for Andretti Autosport as they make their way down towards turn number 4. It looks like VeeKay gives himself a little bit of breathing room, but McGinnis stays about 2 or 3 car lengths back. They make the left-handed swooping turn heading towards Pioneer Park, where you've got some hard 90-degree right-hand turns. As of right now, VeeKay is going to hold them off. And I'll tell you what, Ryan Marine, that battle for third that we've been watching, looks like everyone's starting to calm down, maybe establishing some race pace here as we're on lap number 8.
Yeah, that battle has broken off, at least for the moment. I think the VeeKay and McGinnis battle is the best one on the track, although further back in the field, we do see that the battle for 9th is Dalton Kellett trying to hold off Lucas Cole. But as far as the positions up towards the front of the field, it's the fight for 5th that we've got our eyes on.
8 laps complete here on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. This is the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. Here's how they run. It is Zach Clayman, your leader. Toby Sowery runs in the 2nd position, 1.9 seconds behind. Then you've got Oliver Askew in 3rd. David Malukas runs in the 4th position. Rinus VeeKay is 5th. Robert McGinnis 6th. Ryan Norman is in the 7th position. Julian Falchero is 8th. Dalton Kellett is 9th, and Lucas Cole runs in the 10th position. Let's go to pit lane and check in again with Rob Howden.
Nick, we're watching the top level, of course, here of the Road to Indy. The second level, the Indy Pro 2000 Series, just had their second race of a doubleheader here in front of a pretty solid little crowd. here on Saturday at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Standing by with the driver who finished second here today, Kyle Kirkwood. We talked a lot about your race wins last year at USF 2000. You reset the single season record at 13 victories. You come into the weekend, obviously, with RP Motorsports Racing. You've got the Mazda Scholarship. Rough day yesterday. It wasn't a good start. You end up with the DNF. But you had to draw, of course, on your experience. You come back today with a solid second-place finish. You're still in the championship hunt for sure. Give us a comment on how things went today, how you handled the issues from yesterday.
Yeah, you know, Rob, it was definitely tough coming back from yesterday, but we had to keep a good mindset, and hats off to Parker Thompson. He's obviously got a lot of experience around here, so he's very quick in the Able Motorsports car. But RP Motorsports, my team, has done a fantastic job. We've only had 3 days together, or actually 2 days together inside the car, so for how well we did today and the minimal amount of track time that we've had this weekend, I think we had a fantastic day, and we're just going to look towards Indy Grand Prix now.
That's one of the issues, right? You had that trouble. You were out early in yesterday's race. You just lost that much time. You were that much farther behind in terms of getting the setup you wanted for today.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the last 5 laps were extremely quick, but, you know, that doesn't really help when you're 2-3 seconds behind. So I think if the car would have came in probably another 5 laps earlier, we could have contended for the win. But, no, I'm really happy the way that it worked out. But like you said, yesterday definitely hurt us because we didn't have that extended track time like you usually have, and you can predict what's going to happen, or you can't really predict what's going to happen if you don't have that track time the next day. So yeah, it hurt us yesterday, but we're going to look up towards the next few races. It's a long season ahead, so it should be good.
Speaking with Kyle Kirkwood, last year's USF 2000 champion, runner-up today in our second round for Indy Pro 2000. One thing I do want to ask you, because we haven't really had a chance to talk about this yet, the transition of the racetrack, the evolution from Thursday to now. You guys were on track Thursday with practice and qualifying 1, of course, all the way through Friday and here into Saturday. Can you give us some indication on your feelings on how this track has kind of evolved?
Yeah, you know, that was something that I had to learn last year, and I didn't expect it. That's why I think in the second race I finished 5th, is because IndyCar raced before we raced, and the track was completely different. This year, I think, is actually probably even more so because the temperature is much different. It was cold a couple days ago when we started practicing. The track was really dirty. We were second cars on track in the Indy Pro 2000 presented by Cooper Tires. So it's always changing. We have to adapt to that. The team has to make setup changes, and no, I think we handled it quite well, and no, it's a good weekend overall.
Congrats on a great weekend, and look forward to the month of May.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Nick Yeoman, I know you got the guy beside you. Aaron Teal is still there with you. He's one of the drivers, the couple dozen that have went through the entire program, USF 2000, Indy Pro 2000, and Indy Lights, and he can speak for sure how this track changes so drastically from that very first session of the day through to Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, go ahead and take that one.
Yeah, absolutely. It changes a lot, and especially for those guys in Indy Pro and USF 2000 when they're on track first thing. I mean, this track it's a street, right? So, you know, the street sweepers get out there and try to blow stuff off, but there's no rubber down. You go out the first session in USF 2000 or Indy Pro, and you've got no grip. You know, you're seconds off of what you think, you know, the speed should be. So yeah, it's a serious struggle to realize that how much the track's going to change, and the engineers have to do a lot of work to get the right setup when qualifying race time comes.
Hard to lay down Cooper tire rubber on street tires when you're only going 20, 30 miles an hour, whatever the speed limit is around here. We do hear about a car in the runoff area in turn number 4. That is Dalton Kellett, who we've been watching towards the back of the field. He and Lucas Cole were having a tremendous battle for the final couple positions. Looks like Kellett went off the racetrack, got that car turned back around, and Lucas Cole will hold on to the 9th position. We'll talk a little bit more about those Cooper tires. Let's go back to pit lane. Joel Sebastianelli, you are with one of our former Indy Lights champions.
One of our former Indy Lights champions and one of our IndyCar drivers coming up at COTA. Not racing here this weekend, Kyle Kaiser, but you did test at COTA. I see you've got your Juncos Racing polo shirt on. I imagine you've got to be excited to finally get out there.
Yeah, I'm really excited a deal came together so that we could be in COTA. Obviously, I'd love to be out there right now. It's been a great race weekend, and the IndyCar field just is so tight right now. It looks like a blast.
Having tested, what were you able to learn there, both as an individual and as a team, that you can take to COTA during the actual season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of the teams hadn't had a chance to drive on the track, and it was new for us too. We had been out of the car for quite a while. So being able to get back in, kind of shake some of the rust off and just test the car and get a baseline setup for when we go back, I think it was very valuable. And we got some things to work on while we're away, and I think we're making good progress.
So we know of COTA for now. Is this something that has the potential to expand into more races down the road this year?
We're definitely optimistic. I think right now we're fully focused on bringing the best car that we have to COTA. If things go well there, I'm feeling pretty good about maybe some more races later in the season. But for now, I just want to go to COTA and do the best we can.
So you're hanging out in the pits right now. When you're not racing on a weekend like this, how are you staying integrated with the team?
Yeah, I mean, I live in Indianapolis, which is where they're based. So obviously, when I'm not working out at the gym, I'm going to the shop, meeting with the engineers, working on the simulator, doing whatever you can to stay sharp.
And a little better weather here than Indianapolis right now.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the sun here more than the snow in Indiana, so this is nice.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you at COTA. Kyle, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Great job by both of you guys catching up with Kyle Kirkwood and then Kyle Kaiser. Excited to see how Kyle Kaiser does in his second year driving for Juncos Racing, one of our former Indy Lights champions, as he took the title in 2017. We'll see that Juncos team. Of course, they jumped up to IndyCar just a couple years ago. We'll see if they're up to speed when they race at COTA here in a couple weeks. This is the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. We are working lap number 15 as Zachary Clayman has led them all. The lead is at 2.1 seconds. And, Aaron, it looked like for a second there Toby Sowery was maybe gaining some ground on our race leader. But, boy, Zachary Clayman has been untouchable so far.
Yeah, definitely. I bet you Zach is probably just hearing from the pit wall about what that gap is, and he doesn't want it to get under 1.5 seconds because that's when Toby would get to activate his push to pass and reel in on him a bit quicker. So I think Zach's just doing a great job managing that lead.
Full field rundown. It is Clayman, Sowery, Askew, Malukas, VK, the top 5. Robert McGinnis runs in 6th. Norman is 7th. Falchero is 8th. Lucas Cole is 9th. Dalton Kellett is 10th. And Ryan Marine, let's peek in on that battle for the 5th position as Robert McGinnis has kind of reeled in Renus VK as they make their way through turn number 9.
Yeah, McGinnis got there a couple of laps ago. Actually, it's been several laps at this point. And they were side by side into turn 1, but it's really calmed down since then. It hasn't backed off to the point where Renus VK can feel comfortable just yet. But nevertheless, he holds that position. It's been a weekend of overcoming adversity for Renus VK. They had a throttle sensor issue in the first practice that caused him to lose a ton of track time. And he's really been on the recovery trend ever since then. But so far, so good. Really qualified well this morning and racing quite well here in race number 1.
Yeah, those two separated by about 3 car lengths. McGinnis might have got it down to a car length and a half or 2 into turn number 1. Just not close enough, though, to get alongside as they continue to battle for the final spot inside the top 5. Let's go back to pit lane, Rob Howden, with 19 minutes to go. Aaron Telitz and I were watching a pretty thrilling race in USF 2000 moments ago that you just called.
Yeah, Aaron, of course, had some time in USF 2000. We had a wild one for sure. There's a couple of yellow flags coming out, but it came down to a battle between Darren Keene and Christian Rasmussen. They were going at each other. Final lap, Darren Keene looking to shake the monkey off his back and get that first race win. Went into the final corner, pinched it a little too tight, and the car just started to rotate as he was trying to kind of get it wound up a little bit. And, of course, around he went. Car rolled back with the momentum. Christian Rasmussen, as you guys know, tried to go around the outside, but contact was made. The first 2 guys going out. The driver standing with me right now was the benefactor, Braden Eves. You had the best seat in the house. We all watched it. It was a collective gasp in the grandstands. You watched it happen. And was it a smile on your face, or was it just that look of what just happened?
It was a bit of both. I was definitely smiling after taking the lead. I was pretty disappointed for Darren. It was really unfortunate end for him, but I ended up on the better side of it, so I can't complain. 2 wins in my first weekend of the year, so I'm ecstatic.
Give me your input here. We've watched for many, many years. Cape Motorsports, anybody that follows the road to Indy knows that they've won 8 straight championships. So, of course, that's the team you want to be with. There's other great teams. But you got into that atmosphere. You've been with different teams. You've run F4. You've run F1600. Can you give us a little insight into what maybe the philosophy is? What's the atmosphere under that tent with the Cape brothers?
There's not really any way to describe it other than it's just a winning atmosphere. Everything they do, it's just, I don't know. It's just, there's something about the team that breeds winning. And you've seen it for the last so many years, and I don't know what it is, but the car is always fantastic. Dominic does an incredible job at making it quick, but also their coaching, everything is just top notch. So they give every single resource to us drivers to go out and win, and it makes our job a lot easier.
Braden, coming into the event, did you have an expectation? Was it, I need to win some races? I know when Oliver Askew started for them a couple of years ago, he told me, I'll be good with top fives. If I can get top fives, I'll be good. He ended up scoring a race win. Was that kind of your mindset too, or was like, did you have in the back of your mind, I can win some races here?
I knew that I could win, especially after going through the qualifying sessions, but I was definitely just looking at the points and determined to get on the podium, get some good points, to come out with 2 wins, the most amount of points you can get. So have a pretty good advantage, I think, on Hunter now, and it makes my job a lot easier and a lot less stressful going forward. So
Congratulations.
thank you so much.
Guys, Braden Eves, back-to-back winner here this particular weekend to start off the season in St. Petersburg. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was telling everybody to remember the name Aaron Telitz. This year, we're going to be remembering the name Braden Eves. He's one of the hot shoes right now in USF 2000.
And Aaron, we watched the end of that race. I mean, talk about being pretty fortunate heading to that final corner to see the 2 guys up ahead of him, have him make a mistake and ultimately wipe out the second-place running driver.
Yeah, I mean, but let's be honest. Racing luck has a lot
Yeah,
to
it
do
does.
with it. So Braden Eves, better to be lucky this weekend for sure. Not only that, but also good. Qualifying on pole for race 1, leading all the laps, winning race 1, and then obviously running right at the front in race 2, taking advantage of a mishap of his teammate there.
Dalton Kellett had another off here towards the tail of the field as he got that car off. Looks like he didn't make any contact as he's making his way heading towards the front straightaway. He runs in the 10th position. It is still Zachary Klayman up front with 16 laps to go here on the streets of St. Petersburg. The advantage is 2.67 seconds over Toby Sowery, who has not been able to really challenge Klayman for the lead, but the good news for Sowery in this maiden voyage for him at Indy Lights is he's not really being challenged much by Oliver Askew, who runs in the 3rd position. David Malukas is 4th. Renus VK is 5th. Best battle on the racetrack was that battle for 5th as VK was trying to hold off Robert McGinnis, but McGinnis has not been able to close as the gap between those 2 drivers this time across the line is 1.6 seconds. Ryan Norman runs in the 7th position. Julian Falchero was 8th. Lucas Cole was 9th. Dalton Kellett is in the 10th position. As I mentioned, Aaron Telitz, an Indy Lights veteran, has a couple wins in the series, one here at St. Petersburg, also one at Watkins Glen to, we kind of bookended the 2017 season, didn't you, with a pair of victories. Driving for Vassar Sullivan in the IMSA series. Was that your first Rolex 24 Hours Daytona experience? What was that like?
Yeah, first Rolex 24 Hours experience, first experience driving a sports car of any kind. So showed up at the Roar before the 24, and that was my first chance to get in the car, and then straight into the 24 Hours of Daytona, biggest race of the year. But what an experience, and those guys have done such a great job for me. We ended up coming in 2nd place in the 24 Hours of Daytona in the GTD class. So yeah, just really excited about that whole experience this year.
I'm always fascinated by that format of a 24-hour race. So break it down. What were your stints that you raced throughout the course of that event?
Yeah, so I got in the car 3rd after the start of the race, so that was around 7 or 8 o'clock, and then went till about 10. Got out. Couldn't sleep, tried to sleep, couldn't sleep. Had to come back out and do the stint from 2 a.m. to 4:30 a.m.
Was that when it was raining?
Yeah, because I'm the rookie and I drew the short straw. So, but no, did well during the night stint. I think we were a lap down, got a lap back in the middle of the night. It started raining, obviously, and then just torrential downpour from there. And I got back into the car then not early in the morning, but kind of mid-morning. And then teammate Jeff Siegel took it to the end, ended up finishing 3rd on track, and then 2nd after the race with some penalties.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to watch every year. I love just checking in at 2 a.m., see what's going on, check in again at 5 a.m., that 24 Hours of Daytona. Just a fantastic event, and really the state of Florida highlighted this time of year with obviously the 24 Hours of Daytona, NASCAR's Daytona 500, and then, of course, IndyCar kicking off down here in Florida as well. It's just a fantastic way to start the season here on the streets of St. Petersburg. 13 laps to go. Zach Klayman is your leader. 2.1 seconds the advantage over Oliver Askew. Askew's disadvantage to Sowery is 1.8 seconds. Then it's Malukas and VK Rob Howden, your top 5 here from St. Pete.
You know, Nick, we put the term future star on a lot of drivers coming up. There's one that we've watched through USF 2000. Of course, last year, the runner-up in the Indy Pro 2000 category. But everybody, even though you're a future star, you're battling for budget. You have to have the money, the finances to be able to do this deal. We all know that Parker Thompson has got the talent. He's won a lot of races. He's been runner-up a couple times in the championship, just pipped to get that scholarship on 2 occasions. But able to get back here with Able Motorsports. So let's say that, Parker Thompson, you end up getting this opportunity to run with Able Motorsports. Essentially, you come here to set their data, right? They've got a blank sheet of paper. You roll in here as their driver who's going to try to get everything done for them, and you turn around and win both races. It's great to have you with me here on the IndyCar Radio Network, but back-to-back wins in Indy Pro 2000, man. It's got to take a little weight off your shoulders knowing you had nothing going into this season.
Oh my gosh. I mean, a week ago, I didn't have a drive. We come in with Able Motorsports. What a fantastic group of people. Honestly, to say this is their debut, we go out, get double poles, a track record, and then we end up winning both races. It's just amazing. I got to tell you, though, Rob, my teammate Jacob Abel, this kid is going to win races, mark my word, on the road to Indy. He's super fast. I can't wait to see him develop, and it's been a lot of fun with this Able Motorsports crew.
Now, you look forward. You get a couple of wins here. That's obviously what you needed to bring to them. They put their faith in you. Hey, help us set up our cars, give us the information we need. But going forward, we got to figure out what we're going to do working together. Has there been any talk about you going to the month of May potentially with them? Are you going to be with Able Motorsports, or are you back out pounding the pavement looking for money?
Well, I'm definitely pounding the pavement looking for money, Rob, but I did my part. You can't do much more than two wins and 2 poles. I did everything I could. I kept the car clean. We come out of here with 4 wheels, and we come out here with a couple trophies. So looking forward, I got 2 months to go find some more money, and hopefully you see more of me.
How do you feel as a driver right now? I know we always talk to guys. This is your 5th time you've been here. How different are you than the first couple of years in terms of being able to deal with the pressure of a race weekend like this?
Well, what's interesting is, yes, I am 5 years in, but at the same time, I've never come into this place knowing I only have a 1-race deal. So that adds a whole nother element that other drivers don't really have to deal with. So for me to come in here and perform the way I did with the team being brand new on the road to Indy here in Indy Pro 2000, I think is pretty fantastic. And really, we just got to keep the ball rolling. That's what I'm focused on. I want to be an IndyCar. That's been my main goal since I was a toddler, is to get to IndyCar. I want to be an IndyCar and follow James Hinchcliffe's footsteps. And 2 wins at St. Pete is definitely off to a good start here in 2019.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you, Rob.
Nick, you've had this guy in your booth before. I know you told me earlier that when we did the morning warm-up or the practice of the qualifying that you could have him back anytime. He is welcome in the booth with you. Parker Thompson, definitely a future star.
Yeah, it's hard not to be a fan of Parker Thompson, so well-spoken, and certainly Aaron Telitz is a darn good race car driver and in a tough position where, hey, it's a 1-race weekend deal, but as he talked about, as a driver, do everything you can. 2 poles, 2 race wins. At the end of the day, if he doesn't get another opportunity to drive in that Indy Pro 2000 series, he can't say that he didn't leave it all on the table winning both races.
No, absolutely. Nothing bad to say about Parker Thompson. That kid is a rock star. He's deserved to win, I think, 2 scholarships on the road to Indy, and just hasn't materialized for him. And it's so expensive to go racing. So I feel his pain, not being able to have budget to do the year, but hopefully he finds some money. Able Motorsports wants to keep putting him in the car, and he's going to win more races for them, and he's going to get a championship.
I know it was kind of a joke throughout the course of last season, but the way you were going to try to drum up some sponsorship money was with the painting, correct?
Yeah.
How's that hobby been going for you? And
you know what? Still going great. I still do paintings. People still want to buy my paintings.
That's awesome, man.
Luckily, I don't have to pay for broken race cars this year, which is great news for me. So yeah, if anybody wants to buy a painting, hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
And they're Bob Ross-esque, right? I mean, is that the style we're going for?
Yeah, it's oil painting.
Yeah.
Oil painting, wet on wet technique.
And they're good. I mean, I'm not gonna just blow smoke here. I think you do a good job, and I think it's a neat little hobby to have. And we got to get you in the business of painting like race cars and racing scenes. I know there's maybe that market's been tapped a little bit. You think you can do that?
I think I could. It would take a lot more practice. That's a lot more intricate. You got to be better at fine detail instead of kind of the paintings I do, more landscapes type of thing. We got some lap traffic here that's going to maybe affect, I think, the lead battle here.
Yeah, let's take a peek in as I think about finger painting. That's about as good that I'm good at in terms of being artistic. Dalton Kellett, Ryan Marine. He's the final car on the lead lap, and the leaders are catching him there to turn 10.
Yeah, they'll be there in just a couple of laps' time, and that could throw a wrench into Zachary Clayman's race. It's been a clean one so far. Toby Sowery has closed in just a little bit, and Oliver Askew is waiting to see what happens between those two. But nice sportsmanlike move here as we see Dalton Kellett move to the inside to allow the leaders through.
Yeah, Kellett's going to move over to the inside to let Zachary Clayman through. Toby Sowery not close enough, but we definitely seen the advantage, Aaron, that went from 2 seconds down to 1.6 here with 8 laps to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was going to get within push-to-pass range, and that'd be a game changer. Then obviously Toby's going to have a big advantage on the straights, could possibly reel in Zach. We'll see now that the gap is close here, 1.6. Let's see if Zach puts his foot down and lays down some quick laps here.
Explain to our listeners that push-to-pass system and just how close you have to be on these road and street circuits.
Yeah, so it's set to 1.5 seconds, and when you get within 1.5 seconds on your dash, it tells you that it's active, and there's activation zones around the racetrack where you can activate push-to-pass for 10 seconds, and it gives a 50 horsepower boost.
And you can feel it, right?
Oh, yeah, you know when it comes on, and it's a big advantage. I think here probably 4 to 5 miles an hour faster at the end of the straightaways.
So it was 1.6 seconds the previous lap. So let's take a look as those two drivers headed on the front straightaway as David Malukas now gets around Dalton Kellett, the lap car through turns 14 and 15. This time across the line, it's still at 1.6 seconds. So if you're a driver, if you're Toby Sowery, do you want your team letting you know, hey, you need to pick up a tenth or two so you can get in that magical zone so you can activate that push to pass?
Yeah, I mean, so Toby can see it from his dash, though. Every time he goes across the timing line, it'll tell him if it's activated, so he'll know if he's within 1.5 seconds. It's Zach that needs to have, I'm sure Belardi's letting him know, that Toby's getting close to that push-to-pass zone, so I'll bet you Zach's pushing a little bit harder here now. He'll hopefully open that gap up.
And I'll tell you what, the guy that may hope that those two can get a little bit closer the most is Oliver Askew, who's running in third, still just 4 seconds back as the front three roar out of turn number 9 into your view, Ryan Marine.
And the last time through here, we almost had a problem a little further back in the field. Robert McGinn is trying to get by Dalton Kellett, and they about collided at the apex of turn number 10. They made it through cleanly, and you saw Kellett make way just a few corners later, but a hairy moment here in turn 10.
Yeah, not going to be the day for Dalton Kellett as he's fallen one lap down. The sand starting to run out of the hourglass here on the streets of St. Petersburg. Just 6 laps to go for Zachary Clayman, and the advantage has now grown to 1.8 seconds. That's the type of breathing room that you were just talking about, that Brian Belardi and that team got to be happy to see that for their Canadian driver.
Yep, absolutely. I'm sure Zach just put his foot down a little bit, opened that gap back up. It'll be interesting to see if Toby tries another push here, because he's been, kind of seesawing back and forth in that 2-second range, down as close as 1.6, so maybe he'll pick it up.
You've, like we said, spent the last 2 years driving for Belardi Auto Racing. Really good team. I mean, they've been a staple of this Indy Lights series for the last couple years. How pumped do you think Brian's going to be assuming Zachary Clayman can hold on? Certainly in racing, nothing is a given, but to start the season with a win, that's got to be big for that entire group.
Absolutely. I mean, Brian seems like a calm guy if you meet him around the racetrack, but I tell you what, when those cars are out there, he is on his toes, and he's going to be really pumped to get a win here if Zach continues to lead.
Boy, he got the hands crossed
Bit
up.
of a moment there.
Yeah, exiting the last couple corners back on the front straightaway. You can tell he is pushing. Flagman up in the flag stand has the hand extended, letting Zachary Clayman know just 5 laps to go here on the streets of St. Pete. Sowery shaves off a couple tenths of a second. We're getting to see a replay here, Aaron, as Zachary Clayman DeMello back into that car, stepped out just a bit. May not look like much, but I know in the driver's seat that can't feel that great.
Yeah, that's a big catch there. Looks like that corner's caught out a few people this weekend. I know I saw Zach Veach spin out there in practice, and Darren Keene spinning out there from the lead, so that's a tough corner there, turn 14.
Just 5 laps to go here on the streets of St. Petersburg. Toby Sowery, that driver running in second, the Englishman trying to run down Zach Clayman DeMello. 5 to go, Ryan Marine, through turn number 9.
Clean run through turn number 9, and now heavy on the brakes into turn number 10 for Zachary Clayman. He's got a lead of about 8 car lengths over Toby Sowery, 8 car lengths back to Askew, who continues to run in striking distance in third. That's the way they run through turn 10.
And Rob Howden, Toby Sowery, in his maiden voyage in Indy Lights, doing everything he can to run down Zachary Clayman here in the final laps.
Interesting to look at the CV of this young English driver. Of course, a couple years ago, he made his debut in USF 2000 with the Bennett team. Didn't have the best effort, had a couple issues with drivers actually going over top of him. But remember last year, he ran with BN Racing. He just ran that one weekend, Road America, a couple of second-place finishes. He moves to Indy Lights now, a potential, again, with BN, of course, with Team Pelfrey, for his 3rd straight second-place finish, although them coming, 8 months apart in a totally different series.
And he's there at 1.59 seconds. So close, Aaron T. Let's talk about these Cooper tires, because this IL-15 car has been running on the Cooper tires since they introduced it a few years ago. I know you got to kind of conserve those tires throughout the course of even a 35-lap race here.
Yeah, normally you do, but to be honest, at St. Pete, actually, for me, the tires seem to just keep on coming on the whole race. I've watched the lap times not really waver much from the high 106 range. I think I've seen Toby and Zach maybe do a 106.6, 106.5, maybe fastest lap. So right now, 106.8 they're doing, so not too far off the fastest lap. Those Cooper tires hanging in there really well here.
A great partnership for the Indy Lights Series with now just 3 laps to go for Zachary Clayman, and Toby Sowery has carved off another couple tenths. It is at 1.4 seconds, and Aaron, you just know if Sowery can get it down to about a second, you'd have to think the Canadian Clayman's going to start sweating. Already starting to see him move around the racetrack a little bit.
Absolutely, and I can tell you that Toby probably has a bunch of push-to-passes saved up. I don't know how many he used at the beginning of the race, but he's going to be burning them up with 3 laps to go here.
Well, Ryan Marine, this hasn't been much of a race for the first 30 laps. And this is the beautiful thing about racing. Here we are at the end of the event, 3 laps to go, and we've got a battle shaping up for the race win.
Toby Sowery doing his best to spice this up on his debut weekend at Indy Lights. Clayman, on the other hand, an Indy Lights veteran. He's gone up to IndyCar, now back in search of the championship. It's a little bit closer, carve off another car length or so. Sowery trying to reel in the Canadian.
Yep, they snake their way through turns 11 and 12. The back end of Clayman's car steps out a little bit more, exiting the final turn and back out of the front straightaway. 2 laps to go here on the streets of St. Petersburg, and Aaron, he's got it down to now 9/10 of a second into turn number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach's going to be feeling the pressure here. I'll bet you Toby's got a few more push-to-passes up his sleeve. Look to see if he closes in even tighter here.
Boy, it's about 4 or 5 car lengths as they make their way down through turn number 4. Clayman gets there first. He's been there all day. Sowery is within a couple car lengths, and you're looking at the data that thanks to timing and scoring, Aaron, and this really could work out well for Toby Sowery.
Yeah, right now Toby's got 11 push-to-passes left, and there's only 2 laps to go. He'll be using them on every straightaway here to get as close as he can.
Here they come, Ryan, through turn number 9 with a lap and a half to go.
It's as close as they've been since the first couple of laps of the race. Clayman DeMello flicks the car to the inside, the back end stepping out just a little bit. Sowery, very stable platform underneath him. He roars down Dan Weldon Way. 1 lap to go next time by.
Yep, through the S's. Clayman DeMello really sawing on that steering wheel. As for Toby Sowery, that car looks planted. Down the front straightaway, the front 2 will see the white flag, and the difference is about 2 or 3 car lengths. Sowery moving around the racetrack, not close enough, Aaron, here to make a move into turn number 1, and that, of course, one of the best passing points on this track.
Yeah, he avoided 1 bullet there. I would say he's got 1 more left, turn 10. We'll see if Toby can close up through here and get close enough to use that push to pass to his advantage.
It's the bright red and white Belardi Auto Racing car of Zachary Clayman, the Canadian, trying to hold on to win the first race of the season. Sowery all over the back rear wing of that car. The difference is about 2 car lengths through Pioneer Park. That 13 machine, the rear end of that car has been really loose over the last couple laps. Here they come, Ryan Marine, on the final lap.
One more time into Aaron Tewitt's favored passing zone. Sowery shows his nose to the inside, then falls back in line. Zachary Clayman well on his way. He's got a 5 car length advantage.
Got to hold them off in the final couple corners where Sowery has been strong and Clayman's car has danced around a little bit, but the Canadian looks smooth on the final lap. Out of the final corner, he'll see the checkered flag. He'll sweep to the inside, and the Canadian, Zachary Clayman, will score the first win of the 2019 Indy Lights season presented by Cooper's Tires. Toby Sowery comes home in second as he fights to try to get that top spot. Comes up a little short, 0.7 of a second, but a really good battle there over the last couple laps. Oliver Askew will come home in the 3rd position. David Malukas finishes 4th. Renus VK comes home in the 5th position. Robert McGinnis will come home 6th. Ryan Norman finishes 7th. He holds off Julian Falchero, who finishes 8th. Lucas Cole will finish 9th, and Dalton Kellett comes home 10th. Boy, Aaron, that's exactly what we wanted because, admittedly, bit of a dog of a race for the first 25, 30 laps, but Toby Sowery was saving something just didn't save enough, or maybe we should say Zachary Clayman had a little left in the tank to hold him off.
Yeah, I think Zach did a really great job there. It's hard to hold off a car that's got all the push to pass behind you in Indy Lights because first place isn't allowed to use push to pass. So Zach there was holding off Toby for 2 laps, and Toby had 50 extra horsepower, let's say, the whole last couple of laps. So great job by Zach there.
Fans in turn 10 salute our race winner, Zachary Clayman, who scores the first win of the season for Belardi Auto Racing. And, interesting offseason for Zach Clayman because he moves up to IndyCar and runs a part-time schedule. Really kind of have to check that ego at the door, don't you, to then make the step back down to Indy Lights. But he knows that eyes are on the prize of that $1.1 million prize that is now hanging out for him to win at Indy Lights, and what a start.
Definitely, absolutely. I mean, right now you'd say just smart move by him. Take his budget, go back down to Indy Lights with Belardi Auto Racing, a proven team. Great way to start his season here.
No doubt about it. This is the first of 2 races this weekend for the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. This one, 35 laps. We'll go 5 extra laps tomorrow, and admittedly, that might be what Toby Sowery needed, about 5 extra laps to get Zachary Clayman there in the final couple of laps because they made it tight and certainly gave him a good challenge. It's the Canadian Zachary Clayman who scores the victory, just 20 years old. He'll turn 21 on April 20th from Montreal, Quebec. Again, he made 9 NTT IndyCar starts in 2018 to go along with his debut that he had in the 2017 finale at Sonoma. Finished 12th last year in the IndyCar Grand Prix at Indianapolis. In the 500, had a really strong run, qualified 13th, even led 7 laps in the 102nd running of the Indy 500, did finish 1 lap down in 19th, and again, steps back down to Indy Lights this year and opens the year with a victory. We're going to hear from him momentarily. Aaron Telitz, again, thanks so much for joining us in the booth. Tell us a little bit about where we can follow you on Twitter, maybe check out some of those paintings, and where you'll be racing next with that Vasser Sullivan group.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on, guys. You can follow me on any of my social media. I'm just at Aaron Telitz on all platforms, so pretty easy to find. Yeah, check out my paintings, and I'll be racing 12 Hours of Sebring next week in the AIM Vasser Sullivan Lexus, so it's going to be a great event. Hopefully we can go one step higher than Daytona.
And I know you can't break any news, but you kind of teased it. An announcement coming here the next couple of days?
Yeah, you look for an announcement coming out today or tomorrow about some things I'm doing in IndyCar, specifically with the Dale Coyne with Vasser Sullivan team. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Can't say too much yet.
Looking forward to it. We'll talk to you again, and we'll get you back in the booth here later this season. Appreciate it.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
That's Aaron Telitz. We'll let him get out of here. Obviously, IndyCar qualifying coming up next. We'll see how that Vasser Sullivan group does with Sebastian Bourdais, the 2-time defending winner of this race here in the IndyCar Series. It's Zachary Clayman, your winner on the streets of St. Petersburg. Toby Sowery comes home in 2nd. Oliver Askew is 3rd. David Malukas finishes in the 4th position, the 17-year-old from Chicago. Rinus VeeKay comes home in 5th. Robert McGinnis is 6th. Ryan Norman 7th. Julian Valchero comes home in 8th. Lucas Cole 9th. And Dalton Kellett in 10th. Let's hear first from our race winner, Zachary Clayman, standing by with Rob Howden.
Yeah, Nick, a big hug here coming in. Brian Belardi on Zach Clayman. Zach, you stated first and foremost, you're trying to grab this championship, and to do that, you got to come out of the box strong and out of the gate well. A win here today, big. Let's talk first about your feelings, the emotions of getting this win.
Yeah, I'm pumped, but really my only thought is to tomorrow now to make it 2 out of 2 this weekend. I mean, I'm happy, but it's important not to get overexcited and work towards tomorrow and see what we could do better as a team. I mean, everyone's getting better, so we need to get better to keep the advantage we have and hopefully could win a race from 4th tomorrow.
How about the race car? Of course, the big screen had it up there, man. You had a couple of big wiggles. It was getting a little exit oversteer. Can you talk about the car a bit? Was it a handful?
Yeah, the beginning of the car was great. Obviously, what we were expecting from the track didn't really happen to us. I think we over-prepared for what we thought was going to happen. So the tires dropped off a bit on us at the end, but I held it, and I like the sliding. I'm a bit of a cowboy. It was fun.
You can get that. You can make that happen. Now, okay, let's talk about the last 5 laps, because once that Toby Sowery got to within that 1.5, you knew he had the push to pass. He was coming on strong. You've got a lot of experience. Is that what you drew on to try to hold him back?
Yeah, I just thought when he got pushed to pass, he'd start trying hard and maybe make a few mistakes. All credit to him. I've never heard of him before, but he did a great job. He stayed with me, kept me under pressure the whole race, and hopefully he slows down a bit tomorrow and I go quicker.
Zachary, congratulations.
Thank you.
Great run, folks. Zachary Clayman, the young Canadian driver. Nick Yeoman, a big win for him here to start off his campaign, his push to try to win this championship.
Yep.